Okay, this video is kind of a carry on to the first video I made that talks about the high level pattern, or the HLP, and its mechanics, what makes it different from traditional swing. But this branch of the video is going to be more about barrel turn. How do you do barrel turn? What does it mean? How do you break it up into bite-sized pieces so you can learn how to do it? So with that, let's talk about barrel turn. So I'll start out with this video to say barrel turn works from a lot of different handsets, arguably about any handset. I'm going to point out a couple of things that I like to keep in mind for a handset. The first thing is, when you see me doing these, I'm almost always going to tip the barrel out towards the pitcher. It's not really a tipped barrel that would go across the plate, but it's turned out in front of my face. I do that because just for me and working with my kids, that's led them to the most success of turning the barrel. Now you can turn the barrel from letting it rest in your neck slot. Rich recommends this a lot because it gets a nice controlled position to start from and puts you in a decent space to execute. But sometimes you'll get kids who still want to pull out of that zone instead of turning like they're supposed to. So just from my experience and when I'm working with new kids and trying to explain this, or new people in general, I find that it's easier just to start out front. Like I said, you can start your neck slot and do it, or you can start, back here. I mean, you can do it from a lot of different places. Just for me, I like to start out here because it tends to, when you're out front and your barrel's tipped like this, it's real hard to hit a ball like that. Okay, when I'm here, I can pull into contact and do this wrong. But when I'm here, it doesn't work very well. So that's kind of why I like it. When I'm out here tipped, I pretty much have to have a rearward launch, or I'm not going to be able to hit anything. So that's kind of where I like to start from. Other thing that I'll bring up, just in regards to handset, I find, at least when I work with a lot of softball players, a lot of the ladies, for whatever reason, and it's not just ladies, right? There's a lot of boys that do this too, but I noticed it a lot more with the girls. I work with a lot more softball. High hands, okay? You get a lot of kids that just start up here, and it's hard to really piece together why that is. Maybe there's a lot of different reasons they do it, but in my observations, when I watch a lot of pro swings, when you watch people who are in the pattern, right? When I say in the pattern, I mean who are swinging with the HLP, even if they don't know what the HLP is, they swing in the swing pattern. You'll notice a lot of lower handsets. And when I say lower, I mean significantly lower. Like a lot of times I see top hand well below the chin. Sometimes you see them below the shoulder even, okay? And I think there's something to that, okay? You just don't see a ton of high handsets of people who are swinging in this pattern. Part of the reason is, just in general, most of your stance and a lot of your swing is style. Your handset, where they are, it's style, so it's fine. You can start way up here if you want, but when you start to execute the pattern, these hands are going to have to come down and get in a place where they can turn successfully. They're not going to turn well from up there and hit anything. So the higher your hands start out, it means you have to have a secondary move that takes you from your style position to your hitting position. The problem is, usually that breaks down into one. So when I start up here, I'm usually going to attack down and get a ball. That's never going to work in a high level pattern, okay? Okay, sorry about that. I had to cut the video. I had a bird heckling me in the background. It was getting pretty loud. So kind of picking up where we left off, I was talking about handsets and just where you need to have them. If you start up real high, you can make that work, but you just got to slot them before you swing. So when we just start working on the swing mechanic, when we're starting out with new kids and you're just whoever and you're trying to learn how to turn the barrel, I recommend just starting from a neutral place out in front of my chest, out here, tilted forward, and from here, it's real easy to do the things that we're working on, just to get the feel of barrel turn and what it means. Later on, you can add in your style. You can move to different slot position, hand position. You can do a lot of different things. You can roll all that style in. But at least when we're starting out, I find that this is a really easy place to learn to execute from. It's a little bit harder to make it go wrong. Maybe along those lines, I'll take a second to talk a little bit about style. In baseball, you see a lot of different hitting stances. All right, you see guys who stand tall in the box. You see guys that get, really squatted down, high hands, low hands, neck slot, pulled back. I mean, there's just so many styles. You've got leg kick, no stride. One of the things that we do with the HLP, we don't really focus a whole lot on style. Well, in fact, none of what we're executing is style. And oftentimes we find we have to wipe some of the style items away just to learn how to do the mechanic. Some of the basics in style, like I said, are hand location, high hands, low hands. Those are obviously style things. Another thing that might mess you up, and we've got another video where we'll go through coil. In the stance, high stance, low stance, this too is style, okay? You'll see guys that start out here with a real tall stance, and you might think maybe they don't have to be hip hinged, right? Maybe you can be tall and hit well, or get short or wide stance and hit well, and that doesn't matter. Well, it matters, okay? Any of these guys, even the guys that stand tall in the box, if you take their video and you break it down frame by frame, what you'll find is before they launch their swing, they will get to a spot where they hip hinge and coil. They all do it. So it's an absolute. So even though, yes, you can stand in the box tall and be tall in your stance, you can't hit that way. You will need to hip hinge. Okay, so just understand that can be part of a style issue too. All right, so maybe circling back here, let's go through barrel turn. How do you barrel turn? What's it mean, and how do you do it? All right, so I like to break barrel turn up into 3 different pieces. It kind of helps to break them up to when you're learning how to do it, okay? Barrel turn is basically the process of when I launch my swing in the high level pattern, my swing looks like that. When I don't have any coil, when my hips aren't working, when I'm not trying to hit a ball, this is all the arms are doing. Very vertical, okay? All right, like with a high level hitter, when you see the best in the world hit, their swing looks like a Nike swoosh down into the zone. All right, that Nike swoosh comes from 2 pieces. The first is this, the top part of the swoosh, okay? The rest of the swoosh comes from the rear hip. And what I talked about, some of the initial video, and what I'll talk about more in coil is the around part of the swing comes from being coiled and launching rearward. So my hands are doing this, starting the swoosh, but my hips gonna make it finish. My hips will just turn me around into the zone. So those are the 2 pieces. But for right now, when we're talking about barrel turn, it's gonna be mostly this vertical movement, like a pinwheel, okay? But just understand, when you put the 2 together and you make it one movement, it will all flow together. Okay, so barrel turn. The first thing I like to do in breaking barrel turn down is to talk about just turning the forearms, okay? Rich has done a great job of trying to think through the best way to explain it. I think one of the best that he's brought up is just like you would reach out and turn a doorknob, okay? That's how you use your forearms. That's the primary movement pattern when we swing the barrel. Just like I'm turning a doorknob. It's a fast movement. When that's in your bat, it can generate a lot of speed, okay? So just this, really simple, okay? The forward hand is just doing the opposite. It's turning the door handle the other way, okay? You'll notice that when I'm doing top hand, I'm keeping it right here by my shoulder, okay? Because again, when I'm coiled, my hips are gonna bring me around. I don't have to rake my hand across my body to swing. I can be here, and when I turn it, my hip will just turn me around into it. So top hand stays right here. Okay. The bottom hand, which is going to be here, obviously it has to move underneath the top hand a little bit. So the bottom hand is going to turn, and it will work its way out towards the pitcher a little bit, but mostly because it's got to move. Top hand staying right here. The bottom hand moves a little bit. But both of them are just doing this simple movement pattern. Okay? So that's the first part of barrel turn. I'll start like that. Work this way. Easy. Work this way. Easy. Now put them together. Okay? Again, we're not trying to do a whole lot with it. Just doing this. Snap it. Okay? That's the first part of barrel turn. Okay? Second part of barrel turn, the way we break this up is what you call like turn the triangle. So hopefully some of you have heard that, maybe probably not everybody. If I'm holding my bat in just a normal, right here out in front of my body, I've got a triangle right here with my forearms, right? And I just bring it up, there's the triangle. Now I've got a triangle that's in this plane. So the second part of barrel turn is just turn that triangle, okay? So I'm not making independent elbow moves. They're not, this one's slotting and this one's going. No, the whole assembly turns together. Okay? Just like that. So that's turn the triangle. So I like to, again, we broke them up. First one's forearms. Okay? Second part is turn the triangles. I turn the triangle. And now put them both together. Okay, and you start to build more bat speed when you do that. Okay? Turn the triangle. All right, so that was the second part. The third part of turn the barrel is turn my whole upper torso. When we talk about lower body or lower torso, lower body, upper body, in the HLP, the upper body is pelvis up. Okay? The lower body part of the HLP is literally your femur, your legs, and not the pelvis, okay? This top half. So, last part of turn the barrel is literally just tilt my entire torso over my rear hip, okay? You'll hear Rich talk about a rear hip pivot point. He's exactly right. He's exactly the one who thought about it, who realized it, but the whole assembly tilts over your rear hip. Okay, so I'm here and I'm going to generate this motion, but just right here in my rear hip. Okay, that's it. So that's the third part of barrel turn. You also notice when I do that, I sometimes get a little bit, like if I coil a little bit and I do that move, you'll get a little bit of rotation, and that's part of that whole hip extension and launching rearward part of the mechanic. So again, we'll go through the three parts of barrel turn. Forearms, okay? Again, it's easy to lose this. If you pull, you're not going to be working your forearms. Simple. Turn your forearms, turn the triangle, do them both. Now, tilt here, okay? Now do all three. And now you got that vertical motion that I was talking about in the beginning. So that's pretty much the gist of turn the barrel. A couple more things I want to maybe bring up. One thing to watch for, especially when you're doing this for the first time, again, handset. A bad handset can wreck you from the beginning. And what I mean by that is, notice how I'm simply turning the door handle, okay? My wrist is moving right here, bottom wrist, underneath it, okay? We need our wrists to play nice together. We need our wrists to be able to both be able to turn the doorknob at the same time, okay? There's another motion that you see in bad swings, and you know, that's where you see wrist hinge. And this is like how you would hammer nails. Okay, this motion, not what we want. We want this motion, turning. Hammering nails, not gonna work. Okay? So what you'll have to watch in your handset is if you get like a really aggressive handset, where you're kind of maybe over torqued on one hand and not supinated in the other hand, you're right here, you're gonna notice my wrists don't play well together. This hand wants to turn the barrel, turn the door handle. This hand has to hammer nails to do it, okay? And this is what I talk about, like your wrists are fighting each other. So we need our wrists to be able to turn all the way into contact, okay? But if my wrist gets here and I try to turn it, this one's gonna get locked up because it's hammering nails right now, okay? So that's not what we want. Get your hand set. If you have to, supinate your wrist just like a waiter would hold a tray, okay? Supinate it here on your bat so that your wrists play nice together, okay? Don't let them be fighting each other. If they're fighting each other, you're gonna have trouble. Not to say you can't do it. Some people can work out of it. It's just, it's an opportunity for it to go wrong. Okay. All right, so when you're putting this together, you know, I've got to close these blinds for a second. Hang on. Okay. So when you're putting this together, there's a nice checkpoint to know that you're kind of starting to do things a little bit right, okay? And a way to see the difference between the two swings. Rich talked about this for a long time. It works really well in person. So if you take someone who's got a real forward swing, an athletic swing, who swings like this, I'm gonna try to do this and not break my furniture, okay? I swing like this, you'll notice you hear the whoosh way out here, okay? So, do it again. Not that you can hear where the whoosh is, but the whoosh is out here. And you'll see it. If you attack a ball like that, your barrel won't get fast until out here, right? Because the whooshing noise only happens when the bat's fast, okay? So when I swing like this and I hear whooshes out here, it basically means my bat was slow until it got out there and then it got fast, okay? When you swing in the high level pattern, once you learn to do the three things and put them together, what you'll find is your barrel whooshes almost immediately. So I'm here, your whoosh will be back here on the back half of the circle, okay? So what that means is your barrel gets fast early. So it doesn't need to be adding power into the swing. It's already fast by here. So now I just cruise into contact. Probably the best way to explain it is, you know, you've got a Corvette's fast car. It can go really fast, but it goes to 0 to 100 really fast, right? A minivan can also go 100, not recommended. It takes a really long time to get to 100, but both of them, given enough time, will get to 100, okay? So I would argue when I swing like this, I'm the minivan, and this is my time to reach 100 miles an hour, is way up front, okay? The HLP is the Corvette. It's 100 miles an hour here, in a fraction of the time and in a fraction of the distance, okay? So it doesn't even have to keep getting faster to crush the minivan, because it's just gonna cruise on to victory, okay? So that's one way to play with it. So if you wanna feel like, am I launching it rearward if I'm doing things right? If you're doing it right, you'll hear this whoosh on the back half of your swing, as opposed to out front. Okay, those are kind of the big parts of how to work on turn the barrel. I don't have a bunch of drill stuff kind of planned out, but one of the ways to work on this is to just really simplify things, okay? You can set a ball up on a tee. Here, you don't have to coil a lot, just a little bit of turn back, and just work on nice relaxed cuts and turn the barrel into contact. And just stop after you hit the ball. So you're here, I'm gonna turn it, and just snap into contact. So the snap, we want to drive into contact with this rearward leg action. I talked about it in the other video. And the first bit, basically the intro to the HLP. Your snap stop swing that we're doing basically stops when your hip's done extending, okay? You're here, I'm gonna launch rearward, and I'm gonna keep going until my hip's done getting straight. And that's what turned me through the zone. Again, go back to that other video if you don't really understand what I'm talking about. But that's snap-stop swing. Start with it on the tee, all right? And just get the basics. Again, take relaxed cuts. Don't add a lot of power, okay? You know, maybe I'll talk a little bit about power. When we watch the best of the world hit baseball, and you know, major league ball players, watch them swing. It looks effortless. We all see it. You know, you can just watch them and know they're not swinging with all of their might. They're just doing a nice, what it looks like a nice relaxed cut. And that's for a couple reasons, all right? Primarily, it's because if those pros tried to swing as hard as they could, they would break down their mechanic as well, okay? So anytime you want to swing as hard as you can and go pound for exit velocity, you're always going to generate an upper body swing, okay? You could probably argue it's a more powerful swing, all right? There's lots of slow pitch softball players with that same kind of swing. They don't have to worry about ball speed and location. They just go max power. You attack it that way, okay? When you go all in max, you'll almost always have an upper body powered swing, okay? It's great, hit a ball really, really far if you can hit it. However, with the high level pattern, we're just launching it rearward. We're doing turn the barrel rearward, okay? When we do it, turn to center contact. Just do it relaxed, because the harder you try to go, the more you'll start pushing and pulling into contact. So it's something that we really want to avoid. Okay, I think I covered about most of the items I wanted to cover for barrel turn. Again, if you have questions about it, or you know, I'm just kind of hacking this together. If I haven't explained something very well, again, leave a comment. I'll try to go through the comments and respond, see if I can help out. I'll follow this video up with a video to talk a little bit more about coil, how to coil, what it looks like, how to test it, and then maybe from there, probably need another video to kind of put things together. So anyway, that's it for Turn the Barrel. Thank you.